Workplace Relations Minister Tony Burke has refused to intervene in a dispute between port operator DP World and the Maritime Union of Australia. This comes after the minister initiated a meeting between both parties to discuss the gridlock over pay and working conditions. Without a resolution, the Maritime Union has vowed to ramp up its industrial action from tomorrow by banning trucks and trains from entering DP World container terminals across the country. The stevedore, which is responsible for 40% of container freight in Australia, says industrial action has led to a backlog of about 44,000 containers.
I think Australians are sick to death of having highly profitable companies say everything is the fault of them having to pay their workforce the same as their competitors. The concept that where every other business in Australia is expected to negotiate with their workforce, but this business wants to rely on ministerial intervention is not a view that impresses me.
Who's right, who's wrong, I don't know, but the message has been consistent, and I think the ball's really in the court now of DP World to come back to the table and negotiate with the union.
Let's get some more perspectives on this. Joining me now is Australian Retailers Association CEO Paul Zahra. Hi there, Paul. Thank you for coming on the show. So let's talk about this whole issue. How's it going to pan out?
Well, look, we're at the front line here dealing with consumers, and it's of great concern for the retail community right now. And I think coming out of the pandemic, we had lots of learnings around just generally around inventory management and supply chain, but no one forecasted or expected this to occur. So this current Mexican standoff, if you can call it that, between DP World and the Maritime Union is of great concern to us. So whilst we've been able to offer alternatives in many cases for consumers, or work through the inventory that we have locally, this is now at that tipping point. So we are seeing, items that, depending on category, now starting to see out of stocks occur. We're going into next week is a big week for back to school, and we've got stationery suppliers and technology suppliers, retailers telling us that they can't fulfil their requirements, even for advertised merchandise, because often these items are placed very much in advance of the requirements here in Australia. So we've now got that concern happening and the out of stocks are occurring right across the board. So, depending which retailer you speak to, they've been able to manage them, but we're now at that tipping point. If this was to go on for much longer, I think we're now going to have consumer outcries as they may be able to find essentials like medicines, etc., not being available.
That's very worrying. So how long do you see this Mexican standoff dragging on for, and what are retailers doing about it?
Well, look, the retailers, as I said, they're doing their absolute best to move inventory between stores and to draw down on their local stocks, but there's only so far they can go. I think with the minister making the decision yesterday not to intervene, the message here is that the Maritime Union and DP World need to come back to the negotiating table and sort this out. Now, the only other option here is the Fair Work Commission gets involved, and they're extraordinary powers that are not only used in exceptional circumstances, but we are heading down that path. If this does not get resolved soon, then we would need to see the Fair Work Commission stepping in to get a resolution.
And in the long run, of course, Australia is far away from everywhere else. And also we are such a small market that we don't really rate on the global trade map. So we really need very efficient port operations to, bring down logistics costs. To what extent will this crisis drive some decision making around that?
Well, I think at the moment, retailers have done their best not to impact pricing. They're very conscious of the current cost of living crunch that's occurring in the country. And however, if this is to continue, of course, prices will go up because retailers will need to recover their costs. But equally, just the demand and supply rule, with lower supply, then obviously costs go up because pricing will go up as a result. So, it is of great concern. And yes, we are far removed from the rest of the world. So our supply chain, which is the ports in Australia, are known to be one of the most inefficient ports in the country, need to be resolved if we want to be operating on the global scale. And this means that we're able to bring imported product in, for product that the consumers know and love, and particularly in categories where internationally known, we will be suffering as a result of this to go on any further.
And what can consumers do? except put up with this? Possible rate hikes and backlog of supply?
Well, look, I think all consumers can do right now, if they see something that's imported and they want it, they should buy it, because it may not be there in the future, because we are seeing our inventories here locally starting to reduce. So it's a really important message around, until this is resolved, that consumers get what they need. Also be very patient and tolerant towards the retailers and retail staff, as they may find out of stocks, and they may need to look at alternative products.
Very frustrating. Thank you so much for shedding some light on that. And that's Australian Retailers Association CEO Paul Zahra speaking to us.